Right guys, so today I've got Dean in. We're having a fitting today with a stock system, isn't it? So I think you've had your last one, what, how long?
About a year.
About a year,
yeah.
So it was looking a bit worse for wear, wasn't it? But let's be honest. So Dean came in, it was on, it wasn't looking that great. So I took it off because we needed to wash his hair because we needed to do a new template anyway. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to do a new template and then we will get on to cutting it, finding him a system and getting it cut on there and make sure he looks a bit more dapper when he leaves than when he came in. So I'm going to be doing this template. I'm trying to show you a little bit better. Just quickly turn the camera around. So we've got him looking a bit silly, but with some cling film was the best way to do it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw around the hair loss areas and around the hairline to make a template. We use lots of sellotape and then we cut it out to make it feel a bit better. You can also see his lunch just there. What we're going to do all that and then I'll cut it out and we'll find him a new system with that kind of template. So I'm just going to be drawing on his head. So let's see if I can set this camera back down so you can see it a little bit better.
Gives your arms a workout as well.
That's it. Last thing I need. And then what we're going to do, I'm going to check his forehead, mark it off, say raise your eyebrows for me. Cool, that's fine, just where it needs to be-ish. So what we always aim to do is go just ahead of the hairline that's already there, just because we don't want to like leave little tiny bits of hair just floating down if we can help it. I always write the name on as well and my initials and the date, which is
24th.
the 24th. Right, so now lots of sellotape. So all we do is this, so when we cut it, it forms like a little plastic kind of shell, which we can use to check against other systems for him or anyone else. So I'm going to finish the video here and then I'll be back when we start doing some haircutting. Right then, so we've already talked through what Dean wants with him off camera and it's very similar to mine, funny enough. I did your hair, like I said, probably, I think the last one was done by the other girl that works here and I did the one before.
Yeah.
I think we videoed that as well, funny enough.
Yeah, probably about 18 months ago.
So we know what kind of length we're going for. So it's a 2 into a 1 we're going to do, nice and tight around the edges. And then it's going to be a similar style to mine, just the other way. So yeah, so what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to do the haircut, try to make sure we keep loads of hair for samples so that we can match the colours when we eventually get new ones ordered in. Hopefully my battery don't run out my clippers because it does sound a bit... So what we're going to do, I'm going to carry on cutting this and then as we're going I'll show you some little bits and bobs. But yeah, next step is I'm going to cut the template out, find the system that will feel suitable in terms of colour and sizing, and then we'll go from there. Right then, so we've cut the hair, we've got it ready. What I've got to do now is I'm going to cut the template. So what we're going to do, if I can find it right, there we go, comb there. Just comb the hair forward. Now this is going to be the world's worst tramline because what I have to do is basically cut a line all the way around the hairline, around the template, which creates all this kind of like weird look. We will have to get it sorted. So I'm going to move this fringe slightly, go like that, go raise your eyebrows for me, just around about there. What I'm going to do is I am actually going to do a little bit of a modification on the hairline, so don't worry too much, I'm not going to go all the way yet. Cool, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to shave some of this top off. Now, it's always the fun bit, but I'll be back in a sec, so I'm going to try to get a close up of it. Right, so I'm going to shave the top of his head, make him look silly. Looks like an egg now. Right, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to quickly take some of this off, and then I'm going to put him in the basin, wash his head, and shave his head with a razor so it's nice and clean and tight for when we need it ready. Right, so I'm just going to shave the top of his head. So just going to take off all the hair where we shaved already with the clippers. We're just going to make sure it's nice and clean shaven. What it does helps give you a better bond. Also helps the longevity of the system. Like I said, if you leave your hair too long underneath, it can sometimes cause friction on the base of the system, which can then cause like underventing and issues that way. Right, so that is all nice and clean, ready for the attachment. Right, so we're all ready shaved. I'm just going to show you, we put a little bit of something called scalp protector on, helps protect the skin, and then Dean's not allowed to touch his head for the next 20 minutes. Don't do it, don't do it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go out there and start doing some stuff with the system that we're going to be fitting. I'm going to leave Dean to have his lunch, and then we'll be back in a bit. So what I've done is I've placed Dean's template on the stock system, and as you can see there's a tiny bit overlapping, so that's the bit I've got to cut off. Now when we do this, we always use a razor blade. Should have thought this through a bit quicker, a bit easier. And what we do is we usually take our razor blade. I wouldn't recommend doing this at home because it's quite dangerous and you cut your fingers. And all I'm going to do is very gently trace the area of where I'm doing this thing. What I'm doing is just tracing it all the way around, and what I'm going to do is take off anything, and then obviously I'm going to cut the lace off as well. Right, so that's Dean all finished. Obviously not. What we've done is just placing it on to make sure, obviously, as you've seen in the last bit, I cut it all out. I cut the lace off and done all that, so I'm just double checking now that it all fits in the right areas, which it does. So all I've got to do now is a few dots. Now, how are we attaching yours, Dean? Do you remember how you attach it? Is it tape all round?
No, it's tape at the back and then
glue at the front?
Glue at the front,
right,
yeah.
Cool. So what I'm going to do is lift the front. And all I'm going to do is mark the edges just below where the lace is, just so I know where I'm going to end up putting the glue without going too far forward or too far back. And lift the front. Now I always do these, this is more for me not than you, so don't worry too much. Two tiny little dots, just so I know they've got a line up when I roll back. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go out and tape up, and then we'll be back with the glue and get you all ready to go. Right, so what we're going to do now, put some glue down. So we're only doing glue on this front edge. Get it to come out the bottom, they usually aren't, on that front. And also, I'm just going to spread it around with this brush. So as it's quite warm today, what we're going to do is we're going to end up putting the aircon on in a minute just to help it dry a bit quicker. Unfortunately, can't really have the camera going when the aircon's on because you cannot hear a word I'm saying. So I'm just going to do this quickly, this first layer, and then basically I'm going to wait for it to dry a little bit. And when it's white, it's wet. When it's clear, it's dry. And then what I'm going to do now, I'm going to turn the aircon on. Helps it dry quicker. Do a couple more layers. I always do 3 on a fitting, and then we'll be back with it ready to put on. Right then, so you can see done all the glue. It's all dry. So what we're going to do now, place this on. Make sure we line it up right. So what I'm doing is just rolling it back with a bit of tension, making sure it fits nice in that gap, which it does. Get a towel. little bit, buddy, so I don't want to push down your neck. I did that once to a guy, and he was like, "Oh, I just had neck surgery like a month ago." I was like, "Oh, you should have told me that." Right, and now we're going to cut it. So what we do, usually we cut around the edges with the razor. We'll show you bits and bobs as we're going. And then, yeah, get it all styled, ready to go. Right, so I've just been cutting, and I thought I was recording, and I wasn't. So, a bit of an awkward one. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to quickly spin you around. Pump the chair up a little bit, there we go. Just to see what we've kind of done already. So you can see I've blended in the back, and I've blended in that one side. This side I've not done yet, but I'm just about to go over to that side, so we will get that figured out now. And put that down. So when we're cutting in the system, we always use a razor around the edges. And we really use scissors through the top and the front. So you can see I'm just taking the razor, blending it in to the natural hair that's already there. In little sections all the way through. Right, so I'm going to quickly chip on with this, and then I will be back when we're cutting near the end. Right then, so what I've done is I've cut all around the back and sides now. So I know how Dean's going to have it, so I'm just going to cut a big chunk off so we can see what we're doing. Maybe not look so emo. So you can see what we're doing now. So Dean's going to wear it this way and up and over a little bit. So what I'm going to do, take the top layers, top section, and chip into it. And I've dropped the comb. Oh. Sorry, I've gone a bit blank then. I was just totally not just too busy cutting.
I got real filming, didn't you?
That's it. I forgot I was filming. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep on cutting, and we'll come back towards the end, and we'll show you how it looks right at the end. Right, so we've cut a good bit of that off. I'm just going to dry it off a little bit so see how it sits, and then we might cut some more off. Obviously I've got to style it and do everything else.
I think maybe a bit short.
A little bit shorter in that fringe?
But yeah, definitely.
Right, so I'm going to do that then, and then we'll be back again. It's your piece. Right then, so we've cut the extra little bit off. So now we're happy with the length, so I'm just going to put some product in it for him.
I don't remember ever having any product in the systems before.
Yeah, you would have had a little bit. Because usually when we first put them on, they're a bit fluffy, aren't they? And they stand up.
Yeah.
You showed me a picture of when I did it like a couple of years ago, so it definitely had product in.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, it settles down after about a week, doesn't it?
Yeah, a week with a bit of like life and dirt and
Yeah.
a bit, like once you wash it in a couple of weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
So that to me looked decent. I'm going to put a tiniest little bit of hairspray on just to keep it nice and tight. Cough it up. Right, so that's pretty much done. I'm just going to bring you for a bit of a close up of the hairline. Get it to focus. And that is in ready for probably another 18 months, right?
Yeah, it's going to stay on that long.
Oh, well, God. Not unless I staple gun it down. But yeah, so that's done for another couple of months and we'll see you again.
Cheers, Troy. See you.